Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to totally reframe how you think about website speed. We're moving past just chasing scores, and instead, we're going to learn how to become a real master of performance diagnosis. So let's just kick things off with a big, maybe even a little controversial question. You've probably spent hours, maybe days, trying to get that page speed number up. But what if I told you that score might actually be lying to you about how your site performs for your actual users?
And look, that's not just my opinion. This quote really hits the nail on the head. A high score can give you this false sense of security. Meanwhile, the real problems that are actually frustrating your customers, like a super slow checkout process, they go completely under the radar of these standard tests.
And that brings us perfectly to our first major point, this trap of chasing the wrong number. It is such a common mistake, and it can send you down this massive rabbit hole of optimizations that have literally zero real-world impact on your business. The perfect 100. It looks amazing on a report, doesn't it? But for a complex e-commerce site, one that's actually selling stuff and has a lot of moving parts, that perfect score is almost always just a vanity metric. Real stores have a level of complexity that makes 100 out of 100 nearly impossible and, let's be honest, totally impractical to chase. And here's the real kicker. This is why that score can be so deceptive. Lab tests are great for what they do, but they're usually just measuring a simple, clean page load on something like a homepage. They don't simulate a real person adding 5 things to their cart, trying to use a coupon code, and then going through a checkout flow. And those dynamic, complex pages, that's where the money's either made or lost. Okay, so this all leads us to the absolute core mindset shift of this entire explainer. Before you even think about changing a single line of code, you have to shift your thinking. It's all about diagnosis before optimization. Stop guessing and start investigating like a detective. Seriously, if you take away just one thing today, please let it be this. This is all about diagnosis, not just blindly optimizing. We're shifting our whole approach from just applying a bunch of best practices we read online to precisely identifying the actual bottleneck that's slowing things down for your real users. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. You've got 2 main tools in your toolkit. On one side, you have real user monitoring, or RUM. Think of this as the what. It reports the symptoms, telling you what's happening with your actual visitors. On the other side, you have lab tests. That's the why. You use these to diagnose the cause of the symptoms you found. You always start with RUM to find the pain, and then you use your lab tests to figure out what's causing it. All right, that all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually do it? Let's get practical and talk about how to find the real problem. It's actually a pretty simple 3-step game plan. First, you dive into your real user data. Something like Google Search Console is perfect for this, and you find the specific pages that are failing for users. Step 2, you take that list and you filter it down to only the pages that get significant traffic. And finally, step 3, you prioritize the pages that matter most to your bottom line, like your key product pages or the cart. This way, you're not wasting time optimizing some random blog post that gets 5 visits a month, right? So once you've zeroed in on a problem page, the very next question you have to ask is, where's the fire? Is it a backend thing, something happening on the server, or is it a front-end thing, something happening in the user's browser? Okay, your first big clue is a metric called time to first byte, or TTFB. This basically measures how long it takes for your server to even start responding. If this number is high, stop. The problem is 100% on the backend. It means your server itself is slow. So start looking at your server configuration, your database queries, your caching, before you even think about touching a line of CSS. Now, let's say your TTFB is lightning fast, but the page still feels slow to load. That's when you start looking at the largest contentful paint, or LCP. This is a front-end metric that tells you how long it takes for the main piece of content to show up. And this is super important, it is completely dependent on a fast TTFB. You can never have a good LCP if your server is slow to respond in the first place. What about when the page loads pretty fast, but everything jumps around while you're trying to read or click on a button? You know that crazy jumping around when you're just about to click something and suddenly it moves? Yep, that's a bad user experience caused by cumulative layout shift, or CLS. This is a classic front-end problem. It means you need to look at how your images, your fonts, or even your ads are being loaded without the right dimensions.
And finally, what about responsiveness? What about when you click a button and nothing happens? The page just freezes for a second? That's an interaction to next paint problem, or INP.
This metric measures how sluggish or unresponsive the page feels. And a high number here is almost always a flashing red light pointing directly at your front-end JavaScript. It's basically your scripts getting in the way and clogging up the works. Okay, so let's pull all of this together and wrap it up into a super simple, actionable checklist you can use every single time before you even think about running a performance test. So before you run your next page speed test, just stop and ask yourself these 4 questions. 1. Which exact pages are failing for my real users? 2. Do these pages actually matter? Do they get a lot of traffic? 3. What's the main metric telling me? Is it TTFB, LCP, CLS, IMP? And 4. Based on that, do I know if I should start digging into the backend or the front end? Answering these questions first will make your work so much more focused and effective. And that really brings us to the final, most important question you should be asking yourself. The next time you open up a performance tool, just pause and ask, am I just chasing a score to make a report look good? Or am I using data to solve a real problem that's affecting my users and my business? Because that difference, well, it's everything.